I'm back, and this week I'm back with a toddler gift guide. Last week I did gifts for our significant others, specifically for me, my husband, and I will link that video up in the cards. If you're new here, hi, my name is Ellie. I'm a mom of two and under, and like I mentioned, we're going to be doing toddler gift ideas. And that's because I've got two toddlers. So this is the time period that I'm in, and it makes the most sense for me to have more of my brain space occupied by what's best for my kids. Before we really dive into all of this, I'm going to go over a couple of frameworks that have worked well for lots of moms, including myself, or lots of parents, I should say, including myself and my husband. I know last year and this year, kind of when we were thinking about it, we have not finished our gift shopping yet, which is why I don't have anything here to show you, but I will link pictures around. The frameworks I'm going to mention, there's two different ones and they each have 4 different categories, and there is some overlap. So when all is said and done, we'll have 5 categories that we're going to talk about today. The first one is something they want, something they need, something to wear, and something to read. I thought it was so cute that it rhymed, and so it's stuck in my brain for years now at this point. But this year, while I was researching for this video, as well as thinking of gift ideas for my toddlers, I watched another parent mention that they do it a little bit different. They say something they asked for, something that's a surprise, something to read, and something for their minds. And I was like, what? Something for their minds? That makes so much sense. And of course, something for their minds and reading could both be like intertwined. Same thing with wear and need, they could be intertwined. So, I mean, all of these different categories really could be crossed over in different ways. So these are just going to be a few things that I will mention, and we're going to go in 5 categories. We're going to go with want/asked for, something they need, and then we'll do wear, read, and mind, because I could not leave mind out, and I also could not leave wear out. I just couldn't, because my kids are getting old enough where they want or could potentially enjoy dress up and things like that. So we'll get into a few different things here. So as for things that they want, I've got a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. Neither of them really know what they want, but I will say the thing that has been most asked for as we went into fall, and now we're kind of sort of getting into winter, not completely, we're never really that far below freezing most of the time, and in my opinion, unless it's below freezing or after the winter solstice, it's not winter time. So we'll wait until December, and generally it doesn't get cold here until January, so we're good to go. Anyway, since it's gotten colder though, we haven't gone outside as much, and we did chalk and bubbles when we were going outside for the summer, and so now my daughter is pretty consistently asking for bubbles for sure, and then sometimes she's asking for chalk as well. So that's my older daughter, who does talk quite a bit, sometimes too much, arguably, I can't speak. In argument, she speaks a lot and sometimes too much. But another thing she has mentioned is a coloring book, and I really am not totally sure what my younger daughter would want, other than she has been liking putting things in containers. So I'm thinking maybe something along those lines, and it could fit in. I'm thinking of something that fits into another category, so we'll talk about it later. Another thing you could do as far as wants would go would be experiences, things like memberships to the zoo or museums, or, you know, things like that. Could be a movie. My kids have never gone to the theater before. That could be something we could, you know, get a $5 ticket or less. It depends on how it goes. I don't know if both my kids could get in free, but I think my younger one would be able to get in free to most movie theaters. But that could be an experience that they enjoy. All right, moving on to needs. And needs can vary widely, and that is very true for all different ages. My younger daughter probably needs a new car seat. She's still in a bucket seat, and it's starting to feel odd for her to have it, and so we're thinking about getting her a bigger car seat, similar to Big Sisters. Now, for both my kids, they need winter coats, which, like I mentioned, it doesn't really get cold until January. That's kind of when it starts snowing a lot as well. and that means that we have some time and it's a potential Christmas gift or Christmas gift idea. Speaking of which, they also need boots. Specifically, my older daughter, my younger daughter still gets carried around a lot of places. She does walk and she walks well, but she doesn't really like to. In fact, I tried to have her walk out of the doctor's office the other day, like one of her helmet appointments, and she would not go past the door because she's so used to us picking her up and carrying her to the car. So yeah, she just sat down and cried until we picked her up. That was an interesting situation. But because of that, she probably doesn't need boots. A coat, yeah, she probably needs that. Something else that I have been thinking about kind of in the back of my mind, this one's not really a budget item, but kind of just like a bonus thing, would be a need for me for the kids would be a trampoline, a like indoor kids trampoline, because my older daughter just has so much darn energy and she loves bouncing on the bed like the Five Little Monkeys, which is one of her favorite songs right now. Another, I guess this technically fits under want it. Something my husband found was a make do kit, and I'll insert a picture here, but this make do kit makes cardboard fun. So it like screws together cardboard and things like that. And so I thought that this was something, well, my husband and I both thought this was something that the kids and my husband would super enjoy, especially since really all young kids need, like 1-year-old kids, would be things to exercise their mind and then cardboard boxes. Because I think it never fails. Wrapping paper and boxes is what interests little kids the most. And even my older daughter loves to get in and out of boxes. In fact, just the other day, she fell out of a tote that she decided to get into, and I was working on something here in the bedroom, and she was out in the hall and decided that I guess she didn't decide. She ended up falling, like tipping the tote, and she like bit her lip, and so she's got a split lip from it. I'm like, seriously, kid? You're 2.5 and you are still climbing into things that you don't belong in. And I've warned you about 100 times. Anyway, so make do kit to make like forts and toolboxes and things, and I think it could be very, very fun. Next, we'll move on to wear. Like I mentioned, dress-up items are a great thing, especially for girls, but also for boys. There are plenty of boys that like to dress up like Spider-Man all year long, and there are plenty of girls that do too. They also like to dress up as princesses or fairies or different things like that. You don't necessarily have to have a Halloween level costume. I think Walmart, either right now or recently, had been selling like Disney princess inspired dresses, and I thought they were very, very cute. I will link a picture here. The other thing that I was thinking for the wear category has to do with the fact that we will be traveling a lot, and to give a kid a screen on a plane without headphones is like a huge no-no. And since it's a no-no, I was thinking of maybe getting them some kind of headphones. My older daughter could definitely be able to use like full-on headphones. I don't know if she'd keep them on though, in all honesty. Maybe if she knew that the sound was coming through them, she might, but she likes her sound pretty quiet in the first place. So I could give her a muted phone and she would probably be fine if it came down to screens for travel. And my younger daughter plays with a phone that doesn't really do anything. So headphones aren't necessarily a must-have, but they could be nice to have in the future, especially if I end up having screens for more than one of my kids at a time. And I mean, I plug in my headphones all the time if my daughter is listening to something or watching something and I want to listen or watch something different. So, do with that what you will. All right, next we'll go into the mind and things that would relate to that. So for my younger daughter, I mentioned earlier, she likes putting things into containers. And so I was thinking maybe a color sort toy that could work well for her and for lots of other littles that are trying to figure things out. And I guess this is more for physical development as well, but the not pop sockets, what are they called? The little pop-it toys that have the little bubbles that you push in and then you flip it over and you can do it all again. Yeah, I feel a little crazy explaining it like that, but everyone knows what I'm talking about. So we have small little squares of those, and I noticed that my younger daughter, she hasn't yet figured out pushing the things in. Like, she knows what she's supposed to do, but she gets very frustrated because it doesn't push like she hasn't figured out how to actually get it to push. Maybe a larger or more flexible pop it thing could be a good idea for her as well, and that could help develop her mind and her physical capabilities. The other thing that has been very helpful in the past is magnet tiles for us. I have been amazed at how much our older daughter has grown recently just playing with magnet tiles. We've removed almost all of her other toys other than magnet tiles, and she loves building towers, and she's started like building mosaic-esque pictures. She's built like a cat, and she's built a few other things mosaic wise, and then she loves building like different kinds of towers. She likes building pyramids and prisms. Magnet tiles are really good for the mind. They're really good for open play and for imagination. And then as far as my older daughter goes, I'm starting to be in the thought process of teaching her how to read and write, and we've been working on sounds a little bit. I probably need to find something to help her a little bit more with working on sounds, but something that could help with writing is some kind of pen control type of book, or penmanship control book, and I found one here. I will show a picture and link it down below in the description and in the pinned comment. Everything will be linked there. So this book has grooved letters and numbers, which isn't like that out of the ordinary, but the pens that it comes with has disappearing ink, which means they can practice it over and over and over again, and it makes it a really good travel thing. Speaking of which, I mentioned travel earlier. I'm going to link my travel video up here too. Any other kind of learning material would be great. So the last category is reading, and reading is so open-ended and so kid-focused that it would be really hard to just recommend books. So I'm going to recommend more categories of books. So anything that your kid is interested in. For my older daughter, that would be Paw Patrol and maybe Daniel Tiger and Bluey. And for my younger daughter, she has enjoyed Daniel Tiger when it's been on, and I'm sure she'd enjoy anything that Big Sister has, but it's also been really hard to get her to sit down and read. I've been trying, and I just haven't tried enough apparently, because she refuses. She does not like sitting down to read, but she will flip pages. Like, she'll sit down in front of you and flip pages. She did that during church all day today. So that was super fun to see her actually trying to like look through a book. In fact, she was reaching for it when the book was with her big sister. So just keep trying. If your kid doesn't like to read, just keep trying, because it's so important that they learn to read and write things that they're interested in, things that you remember from growing up. For me, my very favorite book up until I was probably like 8 was The Very Hungry Caterpillar. I don't know why, but I loved it so much. So I think it was last year, one of our extended family members was like, what do I get your kid for Christmas? I was like, okay, here's what I would love. Books. Books are what we want our kid to have. And like, those will be used, they'll be great. And I gave her a list of books that, one, I either remembered, or 2, knew would be good. So like touch and feel books for like the younger kids, or some kids like the I Spy. My kids haven't really gotten into that yet, but those could also be a good one, or a good kind of book. Yeah, it really depends on the kid. It could also be things that you want your kid to learn. For instance, before we potty trained our older daughter, my parents got her I think I have it over there, but I don't want to get up and the book is kind of destroyed too. But they got her the Sesame Street potty training book. Elmo's reinforcing his cousin's potty training learning, and that was really fun. It's a flat book, so that's always fun too, for all kinds of ages. That about wraps it up, and thank you so much for joining me. I'd love it if you leave it down in the comments, things that you have gifted or been gifted for your toddlers, and if they've worked well, and maybe leave a comment of some things that you didn't like. For sure, if you didn't like anything in this list, let me know in the comments, and let some other people know too. I'd love to build a community that has discourse about, not discord, but discourse about parenting tips and tricks and hacks and all things parenting, really, because it's hard. And with the world we live in, it's so hard to find a community that supports you, and sometimes your community is on the internet. And I'd love it if you felt like that was the kind of place you wanted to be, if you subscribe. And if you found anything in this video helpful, I'd love it if you give it a like as well. It really helps in the algorithm and helps me to be able to reach more people and be supported in this channel. Again, everything will be linked down below in the description and in the pinned comment. A lot of the links will probably be affiliate links, and like I mentioned, it supports the channel. I greatly appreciate it. If you liked this video, you might like this one. It's last week's gift guide for husbands, especially on a budget. Everything in that video is under $40, I think. Caveat though, some of the things are only $40 when they're on sale, and since it's Black Friday sale, they're on sale. So go get them. Of course, I will link this video over here, which is my travel tips and tricks on traveling with young kids in the car, specifically road tripping. I have another video coming out with air travel, and I promise I will get that to you next week. I cannot wait to see you in one of these videos if you haven't seen them already, and I'll see you next time.